It's a micro fungi. We've got one here which was thought to be a fungus of low intelligence because we know it can't read. The textbooks say this grows on willow.
Right.
It's obviously not of reading age because it hasn't read, hasn't been to the library, or mummy fungus hasn't read to it that it only grows on willow, so don't try growing on the hazel. But we've just started a national project in the UK on the experts at Kew not overwriting the data we send in with what they should be growing on, B, accepting the data we send in and somebody studying it and saying, ooh, it grows on that as well, does it? Can you prove it? Yes. Do you want it posting or will you accept a photograph? So we now know that this is a valid record of this fungus if it grows on hazel and on birch and on Conker chestnut. And we had all three in one wood on Sunday. So I've got 3 grid references and 3 photographs to send in to the survey in Kew this week. This one, I'll take one off because it's finished growing, is called the blushing bracket, and it has a chemical in it which has already triggered and blushed, but when it's fresh, this is a fawn colour on the underside, but brush it or bruise it and probably won't colour up much, slightly darker there. It blushes. Where you damage the structure of the fungus, it bleeds a colourless chemical, which on contact with oxygen in the air turns pink. So it blushes pink.
That's more on a fresh one.
But much more
really
the colour change.
Distinctively
It is
pink,
very
right.
distinctive. Now that is a natural chemical reaction for that fungus. The reason it's there is it is believed, or it is understood, that it discourages insects from grazing on it. They can't see the pink colour change, but they can see the colour change from a very pale grey to a medium grey. And I don't know about anybody else, but if your supper changes colour while you're eating it, you need at least another glass of wine before you carry on slicing through it. And the insects feel the same about it, so they tend to go off and try something else which isn't going to change in front of them. We as man are interested in it to show tamper evidence of perfumes, whiskey bottles in airport customs, plants being grazed on, anything that has been touched or bruised or damaged. But also man is looking at the colour chemistry of it and see whether that colour change, the gene that causes that colour, or produces the chemical that causes the colour change, can be stitched into plants so that we know whether crops have been predated, and possibly, and it's only a very low chance possibility, can that reaction be stitched into the genetic makeup of some of our harvest crops. So will that reaction that puts off the beetle that grazes on this bracket put off locusts eating sorghum crops in Africa? We probably won't see it as something to deter aphids from eating our roses, but is there an economic use for it? Is there a large-scale economic use for it that will justify the research contract or the development?
So it's not just to prevent scrumping around here then?
No.
Is it just the colour change that puts them off then? Or is it not?
We don't know. That's the next thing is getting the insect people to come and tell us what is happening. Is there a chemical deterrent? Is it an odour deterrent? Is it just a colour deterrent? So one project is working on that side of it, and another project is working on the genetics to see whether that gene can be stitched into other genetic makeups of other organisms. But again, man is turning back to nature for the chemical reactions that we're now using rather than risking thalidomide every other week. And the interesting thing is there are 3 species in this family. This is Didaleopsis confragosa, the blushing bracket. There's a Didaleopsis tricolor, which has these sponge-like pores, these long lozenge sponge-like pores, only it has a tight layer or 2 here, a tight layer around this area, and a single layer in the middle. And then there's a 3rd species, or a subspecies, which is this, which is Didaleopsis intermedia, and it's got these slightly long lozenge-shaped gaps. So we've got one of the intermediate species here. And that's one fungus on... Where did I see it? Lost. Ah, here. You can just see this second branch there. If you come round, you see this second branch that's glued to this. There's a fungus that was growing in that dead branch, but where branches touch, it forms this black sticky gunk that glues the dead branch to the next living branch, so the fungus can jump. Just as the dormice need the arch, it can then grow from the dead material that's finished rotting out into the next live material.
Wow.
And it's called the glue fungus.